Hi, I'm Matt Rule, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach here at Temple University. I'm going to share with you the drills that we utilize here on a daily basis to make our quarterbacks the best players that they can be. Now we're going to get into our warm-up progression, and it's really important to note that these drills aren't just warm-up drills. They're not just here to get us loose. More importantly, they're here to isolate different parts of our body and force us to utilize those parts of our body to throw the football. At Temple, we believe in a whole body motion. We want to utilize our legs, our torso, as well as our arm and wrist to throw the football. In all of these drills, it's very important that we hold the football properly. When holding the football, we want to make sure that the ball is in our fingertips. Okay, we don't want to contact our palm. When we contact our palm, we're adding more surface area, more friction, and we're not getting as much spin on the football as we want. So we want to, as I hold the football, whether I hold it with a 1 and 4, 2 and 4, 1 and 5, 1 and 3, however I'm holding the football amongst the laces, what's important to us is that if I were to take a pencil, I could slide it in between my hand and the ball. There has to be air there, which allows my fingertips to then spin the football. With that proper grip, the first drill that we're going to do is facing each other. We want to hold the ball about 2 to 3 inches from our body at chest level. Okay, we want to have front hand pressure. And the reason why we teach front hand pressure as we drop in the pocket is we want to protect the football, and we want to utilize this front hand to push the ball back. Anytime we warm up or do any kind of a drill where we're throwing with a partner, right now he's going to be about 10 yards away with the quarterbacks. In the summer, we'll go 15 and then 20 to build arm strength. But anytime I'm doing a drill like this, I want to throw the tightest spiral I can, and I want to target my wide receiver. What I want to do is I want to point my front shoulder and push the football back. This eliminates dropping the football. This eliminates patting the football or anything else that can slow us down. I want to push the football back and point my front shoulder at my target, never losing vision on the target. Once I've pushed the ball back and it's in the upward position, that leaves my off arm high across my body. Because I don't have my legs in this drill, I need to utilize that off arm to drive and begin the throw. And what that does is it forces my whole body now to get into the throw. It's important that I keep my head still and that my eyes never follow the football. I want my eyes to stay on the target, which improves accuracy. So in facing each other, it should look like this. Push the ball back, off arm high, drive the football down, and finish with the throw. And the quarterbacks will do it full speed. The next drill we'll do in the warm-up progression is what we call incorrect sideline. And what I've now done is, as a right-handed quarterback, I am facing the wrong way as I throw to my target. All the same principles apply that we just talked about in facing each other, but this drill really forces me, because I have no lower body, to really push the ball back and push my front shoulder. It should be uncomfortable. And at the same time, because I have no power, as the wide receiver gets to be at about 15 or 20 yards, I really have to use my off arm to torque my body and get my whole body into the throw. So again, same principles, throwing the tightest spiral I can, targeting on the triangle. I want to push the football back and all in one motion use my off arm to pull the ball down and follow through. The next drill is correct sideline. And what I'm doing now is I'm teaching throwing the football from the correct pocket posture. And the pocket posture that we teach is this. Okay, I want to have the weight always when I throw on the inside ball of my back leg. This allows me to push off. My heel shouldn't be on the ground. My heel shouldn't have any pressure. Okay, I want to, if I'm 6'3" in the pocket, I want to have just enough bend in my knees and in my hips that I'm about 6'2". My front leg I should be shoulder width apart, and my front leg should be just 2 to 3 inches in front of my back leg. This helps me keep my front shoulder closed. I want to hold the ball, as I said before, 2 to 3 inches from my body. We have the bottom tip slightly out. This keeps our elbow ready to pull and pull the ball back. The important thing is, as we drop, while the ball is going nipple to nipple, when we get ready to throw, we begin to load the ball in our loading position on the back pec. And this is the same position I tell our guys. It's the same thing if I was a great fighter, a great boxer. I would hold my hand here in this locked position before I drove it and got ready to throw a punch. It's the same thing for us. The ball goes nipple to nipple, and as we get ready to throw, the weight goes to the inside ball of the back foot, and I have this ball 2 to 3 inches from my back pec, ready to be pushed back. From this position, the important thing is that because I have front hand pressure, is to push the ball back into this groove slot right here. Okay, we want to get the ball back, and we want the elbow to lead in the J shape as the ball gets back. So In the correct sideline drill, I am not going to use my front leg. I'm going to force my body to push itself back, and as I go to throw, my hip will block my upper body. We already said before that it's very important as I throw, I always want my throwing shoulder to point at the target with my head still. So in this drill, I've really got to utilize this off arm to force my body to turn, not my head, and get my shoulder in this position. Now we're going to put it all together with our perfect form drill. From the correct throwing posture, ball 2 to 3 inches from my back pec, bottom tip slightly out, my shoulders are relaxed, my elbows are down and at my side. Okay, my head is down the field. If I'm 6'3", I'm 6'2". The weight's on the inside ball of the back foot. I am going to exaggerate that feeling of getting that weight on the back leg and really work in this drill not only the upper body mechanics of pushing the ball back, of driving the off arm, of finishing with my eyes and head still, my eyes on the target, my throwing shoulder pointing at the target. I'm also going to work this weight transfer. So as I push the ball back, I am going to step 2 to 3 inches beyond the target. And we talk about this as if it's a bow and arrow. Okay, a bow and arrow, in order to get the bow to go that way, I've got to pull back and really create tension to let go. It's the same thing here. As I push the ball back, I push the bow and arrow back, I'm also stepping, and what I'm doing is I'm opening all these muscles and forcing them to work against each other. Okay, so weight's on the inside ball of the back foot, I step 2 to 3 inches beyond that target as the ball's back, and now when I decide to go, it goes. All that tension that I've created by pushing the ball back will now be released, and I'll produce real torque. When I step, it's very important that I land with my heel. I want a very, very small step, and I want to land on my heel. I don't want to land on my toe. When I land on my toe, I start to lock my front leg, and now the ball will be low or will be high. Okay, so in the perfect form drill, you'll see the quarterbacks, they'll sort of pause for a second to make sure they're really loading that back leg. They'll exaggerate it. Load the back leg, and now we'll step and throw. Here we can see the drill in a game. This drill is called 4-5, and the purpose of this drill is to teach the quarterback how to go from a drop and get himself into the proper throwing posture as well as throw the football. 4-5 simulates the last 2 steps of any drop. So what we do in 4-5 is the quarterback stands with the proper pocket fundamentals as if he's dropping. He's going to cross over on his 4th step and land on his 5th step. Now he should land on the inside ball of that back foot. He doesn't want his heel to contact the ground. Sink his weight onto his back leg, push the ball back, and utilize all the throwing mechanics we've taught. So it should look as follows. 4-5, sink and throw, always targeting his teammate. The final drill in this progression is 4-5 hitch. And this simulates any big 5 or big 7 step drop that we take, where we're going to take 5 steps, really getting back, we're going to break, hitch back, and make a throw to a wide receiver. When we teach the hitch, what we teach is the quarterback has taken 3 big steps, and on his 4th step, he'll cross over, and on his 5th step, because he's taken such a fast drop, he's got to utilize that 5th step to break himself. That puts his back leg out behind him. He actually dips his front shoulder. And from this position, without his upper body even moving, we now have to hitch back into the proper throwing position, which is our back leg underneath us with the weight on the inside ball of the back leg. So the quarterback will go 4-5 hitch and be ready to throw the football. Okay? In teaching this, we like to use some rhythm. We'll tell the quarterbacks 4-5 hitch and throw. 4-5 hitch and throw. Okay? In throwing, we want to push the ball back and utilize all the same mechanics we've discussed. But the important thing, again, is to keep the upper body still and now hitch back up underneath us. A variation of the 4-5 hitch is we'll hitch twice. Maybe the in cut is just coming open. So the quarterback now will take 4-5 hitch, hitch, always keeping that weight posted on that back leg. Every day, both in the season and out, we utilize a cross-field progression for our quarterbacks to warm up their lower bodies and to reinforce the mechanics of dropping with the football. When our quarterbacks drop, we want their chin on their front shoulder, and we want the ball to move 2 to 3 inches in front of their chest from nipple to nipple. This allows them to be athletic. We don't want big, grandiose movements. We want to keep our shoulders down and relaxed. We want to keep our elbows in, and we want everything to be as compact as possible. We want to have front hand pressure on the ball. We don't want to grip the ball tight. We always want this to be loose. So we utilize our front hand to kind of have the rhythm in the drop, but also to keep that ball secure as the defensive end might knock it out. The quarterbacks will start out in the cross-field progression by going half speed, just dropping to the hash and back and really isolating the mechanics of swinging the ball and having our eyes down the field. The next part of the progression is what we call big reach. And in big reach, we're working that big first step. Okay, and as we do big reach, what we want to do is we want to have our back leg go up and out. We want to stretch and strengthen this area of our body so that we have the ability to reach without our upper body having to really make ourselves go. We want to maintain everything nice and composed. So in big reach, the quarterback will take his back leg, reach for as much ground as possible without, or trying not to, have to use his upper body to make him go. The next part of our cross-field progression is what we call big cross. Now we're going to work on the front leg. Again, we're strengthening and stretching this hip flexor, but we want to teach the quarterback, especially after that first step on a big 5 or 7 step drop, to take that front leg and get it up and over the body. We don't want to turn as we do it. So we're going to keep our front shoulder pointed down. Our chin is going to be on our front shoulder so we can maybe see the weak safety in our drop. But we're going to take our front leg and it's going to go up and over. Again, up and over. Always keeping our upper body relaxed and swinging the ball from nipple to nipple. The next part of our cross-field progression is what we call the typewriter. And in the typewriter, we're going to work our feet as fast as we can. And the reason for it is we're simulating the 4th and 5th step or the 2nd and 3rd step of any rhythm drop. We want to have our feet underneath us. We don't want to step behind us. When we step behind us, when we go to throw, we lock our leg. So in the typewriter, the quarterback is going to move the ball from nipple to nipple, and he's going to try to keep his feet underneath his body as fast as he can. Finally, the quarterbacks will put it all together and go full speed. With their eyes down the field, they'll drop to the hash and back. It's a good warm-up. You can do it a couple times and make it a conditioning drill, but it really, really teaches the fundamentals. We want to put everything together. Now we're going to get into our drops, and we always utilize our drops on the sideline, utilizing a line so the quarterback can check his alignment with relation to where he started. The first drop that we teach is a 3-step drop. We're going to take all the drills that we did before and put them all together now. So the quarterback's going to take the snap on our 3-step drop, take a great big first step, driving the ball up to his chest. His toes should be pointed parallel to the line of scrimmage, perpendicular to his body. And now from here, from the first big step, from this position, the quarterback will now utilize the typewriter drill. He'll cross over on his 2nd step and land on his 3rd step. When he's going to his right, the quarterback will take a big first step, 2nd step, and on his 3rd step, he will start to set his stance arrow at the target. When we practice drops, if we're not throwing, we never simulate the throw. We don't want to ever end up off balance. So the quarterback will take 1 big, 2, 3, sink his weight on the inside ball of the back leg. Going to the quarterback's left, he will now take that big first step if he's a right-handed quarterback, cross over with the typewriter on his 2nd step, and on his 3rd step, he'll almost punch and give a little bit of ground. So he'll punch into the throw. This produces a little bit of power, but it also sets his stance arrow at the target. So again, to the left, the quarterback, big first step, crossover, kick into the throw, set my stance arrow, and I never simulate the throw. Our next drop is our 5 rhythm. That's anytime maybe we're throwing a skinny post or a speed out. The quarterback now will take that same great first step, and now he'll utilize the typewriter to take the 4 next fastest steps he can take on 2, 3, 4, and 5. To the right, on my 5th step, I set my stance arrow at the target. To my left, if I'm a right-handed quarterback, on my 4th and 5th step, I'm going to punch and kick into the throw. This again sets my stance arrow at the target to the left. Our next drop is our big 5. Okay, that's anytime we're going to take 5 steps and hitch, be it to throw a post, an in cut, or a curl. The quarterback now is going to take that same great first step. On his 2nd step, he's going to cross over. That's where that big cross drill came in, still keeping his eyes down the field. He'll take another great big 3rd step, keeping his toe parallel to the line of scrimmage, and now he'll utilize the 4-5 hitch drill. 4, 5, hitch, and throw. When he hitches and sets his stance arrow at his target. When this is done, it should be done with rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hitch and throw. We'll work hitching to the right, hitching to the left, and eventually we'll work 2 hitches and 2 hitches. The point being, we want to always maintain that proper throwing fundamental of having the weight on the inside ball of the back leg. Our next drop is our 7-step drop. And in our 7-step drop, we just take our big 5. We take the same thought process that we did there. 1 big, crossover with a big second step, a third big step, and from now it becomes a rhythm throw. We're going to go 4, 5, 6, 7 of the typewriter. On our 7th step, we're going to hitch and set our stance arrow. So to the right, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hitch, set my stance arrow to the right, and the same to the left. All of these drills can be done throwing the football, or if your quarterback doesn't have a partner, he can just work the fundamentals. Again, always keeping his eyes down the field on his front shoulder and moving the ball from nipple to nipple. The next drill we're going to do is our one-hand drill. The purpose of this drill is to teach the quarterback how to properly take the snap from center. The way we teach taking the snap from center is first with our stance. We want our feet about shoulder width apart. We want the weight on the balls of our feet, our knees slightly bent in. In order to do that, we'll turn our toes slightly in. We'll be pigeon-toed. Okay? We want to bend at the waist. We want to keep our back straight, and we want to extend our arms underneath the center. So the first drill that we're going to do is going to be a one-hand drill. The quarterbacks will have a center. They'll get in the proper position, and then what we ask them to do is take their offhand, put it behind their back, with their eyes up, their chest straight. They're going to extend their arms, put their middle finger at the midline, and on ready, and then set go, they're going to catch the ball. This teaches them and forces them to utilize top hand pressure. The next drill in the progression to teach us how to properly take a snap from center and get into our proper posture is our one-step drill. Same stance that we talked about in our one-handed drill, but now we're going to utilize both hands. And once the quarterback has received the football with his eyes down the field, he will immediately take his first step. And the key in our first step is we want to get as far away from center as we can. So on the snap, the quarterback will immediately drive the ball up to his chest and get into the proper throwing position, which we'll talk about in a minute. This should be a 180-degree step. The important thing for us is we don't want to open our toe. When we open our toe, what we allow ourselves to do quite often is step underneath ourselves, and now we're off balance as we drop. So we want our toe to be perpendicular to our body, parallel to the line of scrimmage. Okay, so the quarterback will take the snap, take a first step, drag the back foot, and see how much ground he can gain on his first step. The next drill we're going to do are our bag weaves. We're trying to train the quarterback how to properly move within the pocket. When we move in the pocket, before it's time to get out and go and get to the perimeter, we always want to maintain our eyes down the field. We want to maintain the proper throwing posture. So to do that, as we move, we want to move with our back foot always moving first, no matter how fast we have to go. In the bag weave drill, the quarterback will maintain his vision down the field, but now he'll move through the bags, never looking at the bags, always moving with his back leg first. When he gets to the final bag, he'll isolate the target and make a great throw. The next drill we're going to do is called rapid fire, and this drill has many purposes. For a quarterback who maybe throws 3-step from the gun, it teaches us to catch the football and get it cocked immediately. Quite often we can't throw with the laces, and we have to be comfortable just grabbing the football properly and letting it go. It also forces the quarterbacks to react to a stimulus, get their eyes on their target, and be accurate. When we're throwing the ball a short distance, we don't want to decelerate our arm. This leads to incompletions. We want to maintain the same fundamentals, we just don't want to throw with as much force and torque as we would if the receiver was down the field. And then finally, we're trying to force our quarterback to, whenever he sees which side we're throwing in this drill, we want him to point his front shoulder, point his front shoulder, point his front shoulder. Just as a quarterback would maybe go through his progression, we want him always to snap, and we have what we call a stance arrow. If there were an arrow coming out of my foot, my back leg, if it was perpendicular to my foot, I always want to set it at my target. So in rapid fire, the coach will line up first 2 receivers, and eventually if you get good, you can put 3 or 4, and he'll snap the ball to the quarterback, and he'll yell which side he's going, be it right or left or Jimmy, Joey. The quarterback must catch the football, immediately snap, point his shoulder at the target, set his stance arrow at the target, and be accurate. After a while, the coach can get kind of tricky with it and say, right, no, I meant left, and force the quarterback to snap and reset. We want to force the quarterback to learn that being accurate means finding a target, snapping my eyes to that target, and now delivering the football. Our next drill is our pocket wave drill. We want to teach the quarterback to take a drop and react in the pocket. Again, we're always going to have 2 hands in the pocket, front hand pressure. We want to maintain our posture, which is to keep the weight on the inside ball of the back leg. When we move in the pocket, we always move with the back leg first. Okay, never ever stepping with our front leg, so now that our body is not in the throwing position. So it's always back leg first. We'll first start by taking 1 step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, setting up 1 step and throwing, and then we'll get into more of a agility type drill where we're going to really move the quarterback. We don't want it to be an agility drill only though. We want to maintain the proper throwing position and then throw on a stimulus from the coach. Our next drill is what we call our bag agilities. In our bag agilities, the quarterback will drop back, react, sprinting through the bags, just trying to teach the quarterback that when it's time to leave the pocket, we no longer want to hold the football here. We want to now have two hands through the pocket, but move the ball from nipple to nipple. Once he's through the bags, now we begin to teach how to throw on the run. And the way we teach throwing on the run is this. I am going to sprint full speed until it's time to throw. Once I'm ready to throw and I've isolated the receiver, I now am going to slightly stutter my feet, point my front shoulder at the target, and get this ball high. It's the only time we have the ball high. By doing this, what I've now done is I have pointed my shoulder and I've gotten just enough torque with my lower body being underneath me to let the ball go on the run. So the quarterbacks in this drill and bag agilities will drop, will run through the bags, and now they'll stutter their feet, point their shoulder, get the ball high, and make a throw. The important thing always when throwing on the run is that we finish running at our target. The next drill is our rushers drill. As opposed to a coach in pocket wave moving us, now we're going to react to two rushers. The rushers will give us one of two responses. They'll either rush hard up the field or they'll come up and under. The quarterback wants to keep his eyes down the field but feel the rush. We're trying to train the quarterback to feel it but not to look at it. If both rushers come high, the quarterback should step up in the pocket, and when the coach says throw it, throw it. When one of the rushers comes underneath, the quarterback now implements his pocket mechanics and now steps with his outside leg and gets outside, still staying in the throwing position and making the throw in the pocket. The next drill we'll utilize is point reset. We set up 4 to 5 receivers in an arc shape, and what we want the quarterback to do in this drill is to find and see the whole field, find the open receiver, and as he drops, hit his 4-5, utilize the same mechanics we talked about earlier in 4-5 drill, but now hitch to the open target. So as I take 4 and 5, my eyes down the field, the coach is standing behind me, points at the wide receiver, and when he hits his 5th step, the receiver puts his hands up. The quarterback, because he's seeing the whole field, will now hitch, set his stance arrow at that target, point his shoulder at that target, and deliver the football. He'll immediately come back, catch the next ball, take his 5-step drop, hitch, and find and put the ball on the next target. Our next drill is called Run for Your Life. This simulates a free rusher coming through towards the quarterback as he's dropping. If I'm a right-handed quarterback and a free rusher comes up and underneath me in my drop, I'm now going to escape to the perimeter. Once to the perimeter, we utilize our throwing on the run mechanics of running at the target. When we see the target open, we now stutter our feet, point our front shoulder, and get the ball high before we throw. If the free rusher comes from our backside, once I feel him, I am now going to reverse out and get my head around as fast as I can, escape the pocket, and get into my throwing on the run mechanics then. Our next drill is the scramble drill. So in scramble drill, the quarterback will drop back, plant, and now he will run through the bags, which are set up in a zigzag shape. This is just to simulate stepping through bodies and having to weave his way through the pocket, but always maintaining his vision down the field. As always, we want to have two hands through the pocket. At any time that the coach puts his hands up and says throw, the quarterback must now hit his throwing leg and let the ball go. We don't want him to take 2 or 3 steps. So he might get all the way through the bags, he might do it immediately. Our next drill is called up and out. And what the up and out drill simulates is a quarterback dropping in the pocket, a high rusher coming free, him stepping up with 2 hands, sometimes having to evade the hand of the defensive end, and as he steps up, the pocket's been pushed and he must now get outside the pocket. So the quarterback on the up and out drill will take a 5-step drop, the rusher will come high, he'll step up, he'll get out of the pocket. It's important when you get out of the pocket that you now, because you stepped up, get depth and get into your throwing on the run mechanics. The next drill we utilize is the circle drill. Just like point reset and rapid fire, we're trying to train the quarterback when he doesn't know who's open to stay in the proper throwing fundamentals. We don't want him to start to just bounce. At the same time, once he sees who's open, we want him to point his shoulder at the target and set his stance arrow at the target before he pushes the ball back and finishes the throw. So in the circle drill, the other quarterbacks will align around him. The coach will have the quarterback close his eyes. He'll give them a number, you first, you second, you third. And now the quarterback will bounce Always keeping that weight on the inside ball of the back leg. Okay, when a wide receiver presents itself, he'll snap, give him the football, pick another ball up, and keep going until he's gotten through his whole group of guys. Our next drill is called the shield drill. And the shield drill, all it's doing is trying to train our quarterback that as he goes to throw and he feels pressure, we want him to always throw even though something might flash in his face. At the same time, once he's been hit, we want the quarterback to give with pressure. So in the shield drill, the coach will be down the field, giving him a stimulus of when to throw. And as he takes his drop and throws the football, he'll throw, get hit with the shield, and we just ask him to give a little bit of ground so he doesn't hurt himself. Our next drill is called the clap drill. In the clap drill, we're simulating for the quarterback dropping, seeing a stimulus, putting his foot in the ground, and delivering the football. The quarterback will drop, and the coach at any time, third step, fifth step, ninth step, will clap, put his hands up, and the quarterback must get his eyes on his hands and deliver the ball wherever the coach puts his hands. As I do this drill, I'll say set go, and I'll give my hands anywhere, trying to force him to be spontaneously accurate. The next drill that we do to simulate responding to the rush is called crazy throw drill. We do this maybe once a week. But it's a fun drill for the quarterbacks. It builds arm strength. But all two quarterbacks do is they pair up, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to practice throwing off my back leg, throwing off my front leg, throwing, falling down, jumping and throwing. And we want to just have already practiced every throw we might ever make. Our final drill is our sprint out drill, and we'll work it from under center and from the gun. When I'm sprinting out to my right from under center, I want to open at a 45-degree angle and sprint for 5 yards. I've got to gain depth away from the line of scrimmage. Once I hit that 5-yard mark at 45 degrees, I'm now going to sprint on a straight line and get outside the pocket. Okay, once I've gotten outside the pocket, I now start to accelerate towards my target, head downhill, and now get into my proper throwing on the fun fundamentals of when it's time to throw, stutter my feet, point my front shoulder, and get the ball high. So there's really 3 phases when we teach the sprint out. There's getting away from the line of scrimmage for 5 yards, there's the leveling off, and now we want to get downhill and get into our throwing on the run mechanics. When going to the left, the only difference is instead of opening at a 45 to my throwing hand, I'm now going to open steeper at a 70-degree angle and give myself a little bit more depth so I can attack at the target.